Have you ever found yourself surrounded by people who just don't respect you, no matter how hard you try? It feels like they undermine your value or take advantage of your kindness. How do you handle people like that, especially when their behavior starts affecting your peace of mind? If you've ever faced this struggle, stick with me for the next few minutes. I'm going to show you how Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, offers profound insights that can transform your perspective on respect and how to deal with those who seem to withhold it. But before we dive in, make sure you hit that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, and don't forget to watch the full video, because what you're about to learn can truly change the way you approach your relationships and, yes, your love life as well. So how do we handle people who don't respect us? Let's explore this with the wisdom of Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor who, despite being at the height of power, encountered constant disrespect from others. He didn't lash out or retaliate. Instead, he applied Stoic principles that not only kept him calm but also helped him maintain his integrity. Let's dive into his advice. 1. Understand that you cannot control others, only yourself. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever had a relationship that left you feeling completely disrespected? Maybe it was a partner, a friend, or even someone you loved deeply. You gave your heart, your time, and your trust, but no matter what you did, it seemed like they didn't treat you the way you deserved. Have you ever felt like no matter how much you care, they just don't seem to appreciate you? Now I want you to really think about that feeling. Think about the moments when you felt dismissed, undervalued, or even ignored. It's frustrating, isn't it? It's painful. And in those moments, we often want to do something, anything, to make them realize our worth, to get them to change their behavior. But what if I told you that the key to handling those feelings of disrespect lies in understanding one simple thing: you can't control other people's actions, but you can control your own response. This idea is central to Stoic philosophy, and it's also something that Marcus Aurelius, the great Roman emperor and philosopher, would remind himself every single day. He understood that no matter how powerful or important he was, he couldn't control what other people did or how they treated him, but he could control how he reacted to them. Let me share a story that might resonate with you. Picture a young person much like yourself, in love. Imagine they meet someone who feels like a dream come true. The connection is instant. There's laughter, moments of joy, and a sense of comfort that feels almost too good to be true. They feel seen, understood, and respected. But then, as time goes on, little things start to slip through the cracks. Maybe the person they love starts ignoring their calls or leaving them on read. Maybe they start making promises they never keep, or their words start to feel colder, like they're no longer invested. At first, they try to change things, giving more, showing more affection, offering their time. But no matter what they do, the situation doesn't improve. The love, once so beautiful, starts to feel like an uphill battle. This is where the Stoic wisdom of Marcus Aurelius comes in. The young person in the story could have spent all their energy trying to control their partner, trying to force them to see their worth. But here's the problem. The more you try to control someone else, the more frustrated you'll become. You can't change how someone else behaves. They have their own thoughts, their own emotions, their own struggles, and sometimes it's just not going to align with yours. Now imagine if this person could stop for a moment, take a deep breath, and say to themselves, I can't control what they do, but I can control how I respond. Imagine they step back, not out of defeat, but out of strength. They stop begging for respect. Instead, they focus on their own peace, their own well-being, and their own self-worth. What happens then? They stop feeling helpless. They stop chasing validation and start validating themselves. Instead of wasting energy on changing someone else, they turn inward and ask, what can I do to be true to myself? How can I respond in a way that doesn't diminish my own integrity? Think about it. When you stop trying to control the uncontrollable, you free yourself. You stop wasting emotional energy on things that aren't within your power. And trust me, this shift is powerful. It's like a weight lifting off your chest. You start to feel a sense of freedom and strength that isn't dependent on anyone else's behavior. You become more resilient. Now take a moment to think about your own experiences. Have you ever tried to change someone's behavior, to make them see your worth, only to feel exhausted and defeated? I want you to reflect on that. How did it feel? And now imagine how different it would have been if you could have paused, accepted that their actions were beyond your control, and focused on taking care of your own heart and mind. The truth is, once you embrace this Stoic wisdom, you start to realize that your happiness isn't tied to how someone else treats you. Your inner peace comes from your own actions and responses. If the other person doesn't treat you with respect, it's not a reflection of your worth. It's simply a reflection of them. And you, my friend, can choose to respond from a place of strength, dignity, and calm. So I challenge you, think about a relationship, a situation or a moment where you've felt disrespected. Ask yourself, how much energy have you spent trying to control their behavior? What would it feel like to focus instead on controlling your response? Your thoughts and your emotions? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences. Have you ever been in a situation where you realized that focusing on yourself was the key to maintaining your peace? Share your stories. I'm sure many of us can relate. And remember, this isn't about letting people walk all over you. It's about standing firm in your own self-respect and realizing that you are enough, no matter how others treat you. You are the one who gets to decide how you respond. 2. Use the disrespect as a mirror to look inward. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever been in a relationship where, no matter how much love and effort you put in, it seemed like you were met with coldness or indifference in return? Or maybe someone you deeply cared about made you feel small, as if your feelings didn't matter? It hurts, doesn't it? It feels like they're looking right through you, and you can't help but wonder, why don't they see me? Now I want you to imagine this. What if the disrespect you're feeling, the pain of being dismissed or neglected, wasn't just something happening to you? What if it was actually an invitation, a chance to look inward and discover something deeper about yourself? I know that might sound strange, especially when you're dealing with someone who treats you badly, but let's explore how Marcus Aurelius, a Stoic philosopher who lived in the most powerful empire of his time, would respond to this kind of situation. Picture yourself in a relationship. Maybe it's a partner you've been with for a while, or someone you've just started dating. At first, everything is perfect. The butterflies, the excitement, the deep conversations under the stars, but slowly things begin to change. They stop calling as often, they're distant, and their words don't carry the same warmth. And perhaps most painfully, they start to treat you like you're just another person in their life, nothing special. It's natural to feel hurt. It's easy to take it personally, to think, what did I do wrong? Am I not good enough? I know those questions are painful, and they can consume your mind. But here's where Stoic wisdom can turn this all around. Marcus Aurelius would tell you that the disrespect you're feeling is not something to focus on with anger or frustration. Instead, he would ask you to use that moment as a mirror to look inward. Think about it for a second. When you feel disrespected, do you immediately point the finger at the other person, blaming them for the hurt you feel? Of course, it's natural to feel that way. But Marcus, in his deep reflections, taught that instead of letting the actions of others control your emotions, you can choose to turn inward and reflect on yourself. Let me take you back to the love story we've been weaving. This time, imagine you're the one who feels ignored, dismissed, and unimportant in the relationship. You could easily start to spiral, becoming angry, hurt, or even resentful toward your partner. But Marcus would ask you, what does this say about you? What can you learn from this situation? Could there be a deeper lesson here? Perhaps you're being reminded of your own boundaries. Maybe you've been too accommodating, too willing to please. Or maybe this situation is revealing something about your own insecurities, something you've been neglecting within yourself. Maybe, just maybe, this moment of disrespect is actually showing you where you need to grow. I know it sounds difficult. How can we possibly look inward when someone else is the one being disrespectful? But think about it this way. When we focus all our energy on blaming the other person, we give away our power. We let their actions dictate how we feel. But when we choose to reflect, we take that power back. We realize that in every interaction, we have the ability to control how we respond, and, more importantly, we get the chance to evolve into someone stronger, someone who doesn't need the validation of others to feel worthy. So here's my challenge for you. Think about a time when someone disrespected you, whether it was a partner, a friend, or even a family member. How did you react? Did you feel your emotions spiral? Did you get angry or frustrated? Now take a moment and ask yourself, what did this situation reveal about you? Was there something inside of you that needed attention? Was it your self-worth that needed reinforcing? Maybe it was your ability to stand up for yourself, or to recognize that you deserve better than this treatment. I want to hear your thoughts. Have you ever had a moment where you took a step back and realized that the disrespect you felt was actually a sign of something you needed to work on within yourself? I know it's a tough question, but it's one that can lead to immense growth and empowerment. Share your stories in the comments below, and let's start a conversation about how we can use our pain as a tool for transformation. Remember, when you choose to look inward, you are not excusing the other person's behavior. You're simply taking control of your emotional response, and you're deciding that your worth doesn't depend on how others treat you. It's an act of self-love and self-respect. 3. Respect is earned, not demanded. Let me ask you a question. How many times in your relationships have you felt that you deserved more respect than you were getting? Whether it was from a partner, a friend, or even a family member, you might have felt like you were giving everything, your love, your time, your energy, but in return, it seemed like all you got were crumbs. Has there ever been a moment where you thought, I'm doing everything right, but they don't seem to see my worth? I know that feeling all too well. It's like you're giving your best self, yet you're being overlooked. It can leave you feeling confused and frustrated. But here's where Stoic philosophy, particularly the wisdom of Marcus Aurelius, can shed light on this situation. Imagine you're in a relationship, one where everything felt perfect at first. You remember the butterflies, the late-night conversations, and the promises of forever. But over time, something changes. Maybe they stop noticing the little things you do for them. They stop treating you with the same respect they did when you first met. And then, you find yourself desperately trying to hold on to their attention, begging for the respect you feel you deserve. But here's the problem that many of us face. When we demand respect, it often slips further away. You can ask for respect, you can beg for it, but demanding it rarely brings the result we hope for. Marcus Aurelius would tell you this: respect is not something that can be forced. It is something that is earned every single day through your actions and your character. Think about it. When you demand respect from someone, you're essentially saying, you must treat me this way. But when you earn respect, you're showing people through your actions, your choices, and your integrity that you are worthy of that respect. It's not about making them give it to you. It's about becoming the kind of person who naturally commands it. This isn't just some abstract idea. Let me show you with a story. Picture a couple, deeply in love, who have been through a lot together. They've shared memories, laughs, tears, and dreams for the future. But over time, one partner begins to take the other for granted. They stop showing appreciation, they get comfortable, and they start expecting things without showing any real gratitude. The other partner, feeling neglected, starts to demand respect, asking for more attention, more appreciation. But the harder they push, the more distant the other person becomes. You've probably seen this in your own life or even experienced it yourself. The more you demand, the more it feels like the respect slips further away. But what if instead of demanding, the partner who felt disrespected decided to shift their approach? What if instead of asking for respect, they focused on becoming the best version of themselves, showing respect for their partner through their actions, and showing that they valued themselves enough to not settle for less? This is exactly what Marcus Aurelius would suggest. He would say, don't beg for respect, earn it. How? By being the person who deserves respect in the first place. That doesn't mean being perfect. It means showing up every day with integrity, kindness, and consistency. It means standing by your values, not because you want others to notice, but because it's the right thing to do. And here's the thing. When you start to live in alignment with your values, you'll find that respect naturally follows. You don't have to force it. People will begin to notice the way you carry yourself, the way you treat others, and the way you handle difficult situations with grace. They'll begin to realize that you're not just asking for respect. You're demonstrating it every day through your actions. Now, think back to a time when you felt truly respected by someone. What did they do that made you feel that way? Was it the way they listened to you? The way they showed appreciation for your efforts? Maybe it was in the little things, the small acts of kindness, or the way they never took you for granted. That respect wasn't something they demanded. It was something they earned, and it was given freely because they proved they were worthy of it. Let me know in the comments. Have you ever experienced a situation where respect was something you had to earn, rather than demand? How did that change the way you viewed the relationship? I'd love to hear your thoughts and stories. I think a lot of us have been there, and your experience might just help someone else who's going through the same thing. Remember, in relationships, respect isn't something that should be forced. It's something that should come naturally, as a result of who you are and how you treat others. When you show that you respect yourself and live with integrity, others will naturally begin to show you that same respect in return. Of course, you don't take things personally. People's actions reflect their own struggles. I want to ask you something that might make you pause for a second. Have you ever been hurt by something someone you loved did or said? Maybe it was a partner who snapped at you when you least expected it, or a friend who dismissed your feelings like they didn't matter. It stings, doesn't it? You put your heart into the relationship, and yet sometimes their words or actions feel like a direct attack on you. And in those moments, you can't help but ask yourself, why are they treating me like this? What did I do to deserve this? Now, I want you to take a step back. Imagine if the next time someone's behavior hurt you, you didn't immediately take it personally. What if you realized that their actions, their hurtful words, their emotional outbursts, were not truly about you at all? What if their reactions were simply a reflection of what they were going through? Internally, something unrelated to who you are, or what you did? It might sound counterintuitive, but this is exactly what Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic philosopher, would suggest. He would tell you that when someone disrespects you, it's important not to take their behavior personally. The truth is, people's actions often come from their own internal struggles, not from anything you've done. Their frustrations, insecurities, and pain manifest in ways that may have nothing to do with you at all. Let me explain this through a story that might hit close to home. Imagine you're in a relationship, one where you've shared countless beautiful moments. You've laughed together, supported each other through tough times, and built memories that felt unshakable. But then out of nowhere, something shifts. Your partner, who you thought understood you better than anyone, starts acting distant. They snap at you over little things. They seem irritated by your presence, and it feels like they're pushing you away. At first, you're confused. You wonder, did I do something wrong? What did I say that upset them? Your mind starts to spiral and you start questioning everything. Did they fall out of love? Do they even care about you anymore? Now I want you to pause here. This moment, this feeling of being attacked or dismissed, is where Stoic wisdom comes into play. Marcus Aurelius would advise you to step back and realize that their actions reflect something happening within them, not within you. Maybe your partner had a bad day at work, or they're struggling with something from their past. Maybe they've been dealing with their own insecurities, and their frustrations are spilling over onto you. In relationships, this is incredibly important to understand. People are not perfect. They have their own struggles, their own pain, and their own baggage that they carry with them. And sometimes they project that pain onto the people closest to them. But here's the key, it's not about you. Their emotional outbursts, their short temper, or their sudden distance isn't a reflection of who you are, it's a reflection of what they're going through. Think about a time when you've snapped at someone you loved. Maybe you were stressed, maybe you were dealing with personal issues, and without meaning to, you took it out on them. You probably didn't intend to hurt them, but it happened anyway. When you're caught up in your own internal struggles, it can be hard to see how your actions are affecting others. This doesn't mean that you should let people walk all over you or treat you poorly, but it does mean that instead of reacting defensively, you can choose to respond with understanding and compassion. You can say to yourself, this isn't about me. This is about what they're going through. And I'm not going to let their pain become my pain. Now I want to know, can you think of a time when someone you loved hurt you, and you took it personally, only to later realize it wasn't about you at all? Maybe it was a moment when you found out they were dealing with something difficult, and that shifted your perspective completely. Or maybe you've been in a situation where you reacted defensively, only to realize later that you could have handled it differently. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Your stories matter, and sharing them might help someone else who's going through something similar. Remember, when you understand that people's actions often come from their own struggles, you free yourself from the need to take things personally. It doesn't mean that you allow mistreatment, but it means you can respond with empathy, knowing that their pain is not your fault. Set boundaries and stick to them. I want to ask you something. Have you ever been in a relationship where you gave, and yet somehow you always felt like you were giving more than the other person? You loved them deeply, You tried your best to support them. But no matter how much effort you put in, it felt like your needs, your desires, and your boundaries were being overlooked. Has that ever happened to you? I know it's tough. You pour your heart into someone, but over time, you realize that your love might not be enough if you don't set clear boundaries. Boundaries are so important in relationships, yet they are often misunderstood. It's not about building walls or creating distance. It's about protecting your emotional well-being while still showing love and care. And when it comes to respect, Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic philosopher, would tell you boundaries are essential. You have to know where to draw the line and protect yourself from being mistreated. Imagine a scenario. You've been with someone for a while now, and everything seems perfect at first. The connection, the chemistry, the shared moments that feel like they were made just for the two of you. But over time, something shifts. Your partner becomes more demanding of your time, more critical of your actions, and somehow, they begin to overstep the boundaries you once had in place. At first, it's subtle. Maybe they make a comment about your friends or your time apart, but soon it's more than that. They start making decisions for you, dismissing your opinions, and treating your needs as secondary to their own. It's easy to let it slide, isn't it? You tell yourself it's just one more thing. I can let it go. It's not that big of a deal. But here's the thing. Over time, these little things add up. And if you keep letting them slide, your boundaries will become blurred, and you'll start feeling like you're losing yourself in the process. This is exactly where Stoic wisdom comes in. Marcus Aurelius believed that knowing and sticking to your boundaries wasn't just about asserting your rights. It was about preserving your inner peace and emotional balance. If you let others repeatedly overstep your boundaries, it can lead to resentment, frustration, and eventually burnout. So let's talk about what it means to set boundaries and why it's so critical for your emotional health. Setting boundaries means communicating clearly what you are and aren't willing to tolerate in a relationship. It's about recognizing your own needs and ensuring that they are respected, just as you respect the needs of the other person. And the key part? You have to stick to them. Let me share a story. Imagine a couple that's been through thick and thin. They've had their ups and downs, but love has always been their foundation. However, as time goes on, one partner starts to become more and more demanding. They want constant attention. They criticize the other's choices, and they disregard personal time. The other partner starts to feel overwhelmed, but they're scared to speak up, thinking maybe it's just a phase. Maybe they'll change. But over time, the stress builds. The person who's been quietly tolerating the behavior starts to feel suffocated. Their love starts to feel like a burden, and they wonder, is this what love is supposed to be like? One day they finally speak up. They set a boundary. They tell their partner, I love you, but I can't keep sacrificing my happiness and my peace of mind for this relationship. I need space. I need respect. And I need my needs to be heard just like I hear yours. It's not easy to set boundaries. It can feel like you're risking everything, like you might push someone away. But here's the truth. When you don't set boundaries, you're not honoring yourself. You're not showing love to yourself, and that's where problems arise. Think about it. Have you ever experienced a moment in your relationship where you had to set a boundary, even if it was difficult? Maybe it was a situation where you had to ask for personal space, or maybe you had to tell your partner that something they were doing was affecting you negatively. How did that feel? Scary? Liberating? Maybe even both? I'd love to hear your thoughts and stories in the comments below. Remember, setting boundaries isn't about being selfish or uncaring. It's about showing that you value yourself enough to protect your well-being, and that in turn helps you to show up in the relationship as your best self. So don't be afraid to speak up, to protect your peace, and to stick to the boundaries you've set. If someone truly loves you, they'll respect those boundaries, just as you should respect theirs. So to recap, when you find yourself dealing with people who don't respect you, take a page from Marcus Aurelius's book. 1. Focus on what you can control. Your response. 2. Use the situation to look inward and grow. 3. Remember that respect is earned through your actions. 4. Don't take things personally. Respond with kindness, not anger. With these Stoic principles, you not only protect your peace, but also become the kind of person who naturally earns the respect of others. And as you continue to apply these teachings, you'll notice that the world around you begins to shift. People will respect you, not because you demand it, but because you lead by example. So next time you encounter disrespect, remember Marcus Aurelius and take a Stoic approach. You might be surprised at how much more peaceful and empowered you feel. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.